So this is, again, some offerings, I believe, of what ways of thinking more than what ways of doing within the project if things start to feel tricky. So when things go wrong, we will try to prioritise the integrity of the core values and aims of what we're working on together, rather than individuals and personalities.
Yeah.
So just maintaining the project and seeing how things are affecting the project. Is that what that means?
Yes, I think so. It's rather than thinking it's all about me. It's actually we're focusing on what we're trying to do together. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess people who don't really get on that well could still work together if they've both got the best interests of the project at heart.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will take time out to express or transmute our feelings or energies through creativity. I like that one. If you're feeling too stressed out, just make something and see if it helps, and see if it helps you understand what's going on.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing, this agreement like between creatives, this is, not to forget that this is a way of doing that. And also it's about understanding it better yourself and seeing what's yours and what's others, isn't it?
Yeah, thinking through doing.
Yeah.
We will aim to recognise what is within the scope of the project and what is not. Issues outside of the project will be taken elsewhere to be resolved. So I suppose if something, I'm trying to think of this in real terms, if something triggered something that was said in one of our curious conversations perhaps triggered past experiences, being able to acknowledge that past experience, but deal with that in a way that doesn't affect the project.
Yeah. And sometimes because you're working on something together, everything becomes focused on that project, but some things are not to do with that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
I need to deal with that elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my issue. I brought it with me. I can get support, but it's not anyone else's responsibility, sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, we will raise feelings, concerns, experience directly in line with the kindness practice and good faith agreement above. If possible, this will be done initially with the individual, and if not possible, then with the group or a single nominated point of contact. Add named individual. This
is always tricky, isn't it?
This is really tricky.
So if we're thinking this is between us, this nest agreement's between us, if we have issues between each other, the reality is I think we know each other so well that this would probably be okay.
Yeah.
But if we think about this, because we're sort of in my mind, I'm slightly extending it to these conversations.
Yeah.
It makes me think actually it would be good to have someone named that they could.
So someone that isn't leading the conversations.
Yeah.
Someone outside of that.
Maybe we should just put here, we will put the name of someone for each event or something.
Yeah, we will, because this is something we can't put down someone's name before we've asked them if they mind being that person as well.
We will identify someone for this role for each stage of the project, should I call it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, that's good. And the final one, we will try to discuss what would enable us to continue to work together, recognizing our differences.
Yeah.
Sort of agree to disagree and then move forward for the best, in the best way we can.
Yeah, and what we need in order to do that. And of course, that's quite difficult in the heat of the moment to do those things.
Yeah.
But now we're going on to scenarios. The idea of those is that we can think about those before they happen, when everything is rosy, and think how might we deal with some of those difficulties.
Yeah.
And it comes on, well, say there are difficulties. The second one is around trying to calm down in another way rather than pushing it all through.
Oh yeah, transmute.
Oh yeah,
transmute. I had to look it up. Anyway, I just kind of think, I'm not, I'm just like, oh, it's not plain English again. It's just like, oh God, if I don't understand what that word is, then that
maybe it could be to express or explore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's just like, one can follow that. Yeah, so that one, number 3, issues outside of the project will be taken elsewhere to be resolved. So what does that mean practically? Like,
So this section is based on actual real life difficulties. Sometimes people have things, especially if you're working long term with people, where you start to expect, a bit like being in a relationship, you expect your partner to solve issues that are actually yours. So sometimes there are things that the project can't deal with. So for example, we've already mentioned that none of us are very good at self-care. So we can try and encourage that in each other, but that is not the role of the project, you know.
Yeah, so now you've explained that to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. And it's just like, well, be interesting to see if that needs explanation each time it's gone through.
Maybe it's personal.
Yes, there you go. Or is that personal issues between the people that are involved in the relationship or individual?
It could be either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tricky, this stuff. I mean, the idea basically is that you prevent this from happening, but if you don't, this is what.
Yeah, no, it would be really, yeah, it's really good to do it go through this like this now, and be really interesting to then use it as a framework for, you know, other relationships who we haven't worked with. Yeah, and then one can tweak it again. Okay, I'm content to move on to the next bit, which is okay, we will raise feelings and concerns and experiences directly in line with the kind of pledge.
So if things are going, really, this is sort of saying, yeah, basically this is based on the idea that if you try and raise things early, don't let them fester. There's something about that under here. But then if you don't feel, you know, say you've got an issue, say you've got an issue with me, I would love you to be able to raise it with me, but say you didn't feel you could, you might raise it in a group with you, me and Yuan. And then if that's not possible, you can add a named individual to go to outside the group as a point of contact.
But that would be a bit weird in this case.
It would. So we can just take that bit out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see how having another party who, yeah, can't see how that would work.
And the other one you can say is, because there's three of us, you can say raise with that third person, check with them whether it is a thing, and then bring it to the group.
Yeah. Yeah. But you mentioned something quite interesting then about how you read that as about not letting things fester.
Yeah.
But I think we will raise, I think the word maybe we will raise feelings and concerns experience directly and promptly.
Yes, 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 and promptly, yes, do add that, that's good.
Okay, are you happy with that?
Yeah, shall I put, what do you think? So say you had an issue with me, you didn't feel you could raise it with me.
I would speak to you, Anne.
Yes, and I think that's good, because it's a good check, isn't it? It's like, oh, I've had this thing, have you noticed that as well? Is that a thing? And then, yeah.
And so then maybe to put it, because for us then, in this case, yeah, the third person, because we're three of us.